Hua? No. Let's go. Let's continue. Let's continue. Maybe if he fought Rumble Johnson, maybe. I'll tell you this: the only one maybe is DC.
Well, then DC
Is
is only
DC?
one.
Is
And then
DC? And
if
DC?
you're gonna compare the DC, make the DC comparison. He beat DC twice, and we're just gonna go right around in the circle again.
No, we're not gonna go right around the circle again because we know that matchups make fights. It's a bad. It might be a bad matchup for him. That's
It's
all
not.
I'm saying.
And see, what you see as a bad matchup as far as the most athletic heavyweight in a division versus John Jones is not a bad matchup to me because you're choosing the most athletic one. You're not choosing one that only relies on strength or anything like that. You're choosing one that you could probably get to actually fight you instead of try to wrestle you down to the ground and use their weight against you.
But once again, Stipe always has that option. Stipe has that option. You have to understand is that Stipe is also long as a heavyweight. Like I'm just looking at the body composition. Stipe is long. He's just as tall.
I'm
Like what are
giving
we
you,
talking about?
I'm giving you everything that you're asking for. I'm giving you everything you're asking for. I'm just asking you to consider the things that John Jones will take up to heavyweight that make him more competitive. Like his height. Yes, he uses his height in the light heavyweight division. He would not be able to use his height in the heavyweight division. But since his best punches are elbows and stuff like that, things that these heavyweight guys don't normally see, he would have a better opportunity because he's fighting guys that don't see these kinds of things in the actual octagon.
Okay,
Now,
but I
maybe
mean,
that will catch up with him later on as he fights more heavyweights, but in the beginning, it wouldn't be like that. It would probably be kind of stunning to see someone start off a fight at heavyweight on the ground and run around in circles and stuff like that. You
so
see a guy
basically,
kick a
but
guy and run
basically,
away
so
or something like
basically, so basically, we're talking about flashy techniques that may or may not have enough stopping power to stop the individual that he's
that.
fighting.
Bro, we're not talking about stopping power unless you're talking about knockouts. We're talking about fights. Fights can last 15 minutes. Fights can last 25 minutes. You can get pieced up by a smaller man. I've seen it happen before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
But
Listen,
if you don't want to believe that
anything.
that man has an opportunity to win, then
No,
cool.
what I'm
Then
saying, what I'm
cool.
saying,
I'm just saying I'm giving
nah.
John Jones an opportunity against a Stipe fight. I don't think the level,
What I'm doing.
especially after Daniel Cormier just beat Stipe, I cannot, as someone who watched that man get beat up by John Jones twice, sit here and believe that John Jones just gonna lose to anybody else
But
like that.
matchups makes fights. So that same person that's a legend in the heavyweight division, that same person that's a legend in the heavyweight division, beat the mess that someone that gave John Jones one of his most difficult fights. So I mean, it's just matchups, it's skills. I'm looking at Stipe's skill set, his body composition, and what he brings to the table, and I'm putting it against John Jones. And what I'm saying to you, a smarter fight for John Jones would be a Cain Velasquez. A far smarter fight for John Jones is baiting DC to give him another fight.
Those are
That's a
easier
smarter fight.
fights. Those are
Those are
easier
smarter. Those
fights.
are smarter fights.
Those are easier
Hold
fights.
on, hold on. These are the reason why they're smarter fights because it will yield the money. So it'll make the risk that you're taking worth it. Number one. Number two, because there'll be hype fights. Number two, yeah, you're right. There are easier fights for John Jones to have. I mean, of course, there is the unknown. John Jones has never fought Cain Velasquez, so we don't know how John Jones will fare against Cain Velasquez. I would say that I think that he would beat Cain Velasquez. We don't know. We don't know how Daniel Cormier would fare being at heavyweight and not having to cut weight against John Jones. Who knows? I mean, he was walking him down the last fight, so who knows? He may fare better. But I mean, you have those little. I don't think Stipe is really a good fight for him. I don't think Stipe is a good fight for him. I don't think Overeem's a good fight for him. I don't think Blaze is a good fight for him. I don't think if Verdum comes back, I don't think Verdum would be a good fight for him. I think JDS would be a good fight for him because I think JDS, even though JDS is a dangerous striker, I think Jones with some weight on him is a more superior striker. So Jones versus JDS would be good. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
it'll be a good. That probably
Him versus Brock Lesnar is a good fight. Him versus Brock Lesnar is a good fight. He's gonna beat the shit out of Brock Lesnar.
that's a
I don't think Stipe is a good fight for him. He doesn't match well with him. And does he have a yes, can he pull something together? Can he beat him? Is it in the realm of possibilities of Stipe beating Jones? Yeah, of course it is. Anything can happen in the octagon. I just don't think that it's the best fight for him. I think there are better fights for him. That's all I'm saying.
I think that is the easiest fight you can make in that division
For
for
John
John
Jones?
Jones. Yeah,
Negative. Negative.
it's the easiest fight you can make in that division right now because everyone else, like, no one else has the cachet. And Stipe needs a fight.
Oh, as far as making it, yeah, you're right, you're right. And Stipe needs to fight, so that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. As far as actually difficulty level, no, I don't think it's the
But
easiest fight.
but I
I
don't
don't think that's
believe
what
that.
you were saying. I don't think
I
that's
don't
what you were
believe.
saying,
I
anyways.
don't think Stipe has a chance to beat John Jones though.
Mhm.
I
I
don't
think
think
you're
Stipe. You
mistaken.
know what I'm saying, using the triangle theory that you're not supposed to use, I don't think Stipe has a chance.
I think you're grossly underestimating Stipe.
Nah, I think
Has
you're
Stipe
grossly
has Stipe?
overrated. And you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I flip that right back. I think you're grossly overrating Stipe. I saw Stipe lose to Daniel Cormier. I saw Daniel Cormier lose to John Jones twice. And I'm going to keep saying it. Like, you cannot sit here and tell me that Stipe this, Stipe that. Even though they're heavyweights at that point, I still believe that a man that cuts down 25 pounds just to fight at light heavyweight is going to be just as good as heavyweight, especially when he's fighting people that don't have to cut weight.
Okay, well, that's a theory. That's really not founded by really anything for real. You're just kind of tossing it out there. And to be very honest with you, all I'm saying about is this: by watching the fight, if I see if I see someone who has better, in my opinion, better fighting skills than I would say John Jones at his level, and I see him beat him, and then I see him beat other opponents, and then I see him beat heavy hitting opponents. I see him beat someone who probably strikes the hardest in the that we've seen in the UFC. Take absorb all that and beat. I just think that Stipe presents more problems, and Stipe, even though John Jones, I think styles make fights, opponents make fights, and I just think that John Jones will always have Daniel Cormier's number, and maybe Daniel Cormier will always have Stipe's number, but that doesn't necessarily mean that John Jones will have Stipe's number. It doesn't.
Nah,
That's not
nah,
how fighting works. You
yeah,
know that. You're
and
a
it's
boxing
definitely,
fan. You
and
fucking
for the
know
most
that.
part, it's definitely not what I'm saying.
You're saying because he hasn't had to cut weight, that's gonna make him better. But John
No,
Jones
I'm
hasn't had.
saying
Oh, go
no.
ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Please listen carefully to what I'm saying. Because he doesn't have to cut weight, you don't know where his power is naturally, bro. You just know him cutting weight. When you cut weight, you lose things. Daniel Cormier obviously lost a little bit when he cut weight. So we've seen him what he could do at heavyweight. He knocked out a heavyweight. Cool. I'm telling you, John Jones at that weight with that skill level and those kind of strikes from those kind of angles that the heavyweight UFC guys haven't seen before, creates more of a problem than you're letting on.
But I'm not saying negating that. But what I'm saying is that John Jones has never been hit by a true heavyweight. John Jones himself, like you have to think about it like this. There's a reason why John Jones is not fighting Ngannou. There's a reason why he's not fighting Curtis Blaze. There's a reason. Like
You know
John
why?
Jones, hold
Because
on.
he has a belt, he's a champion, and he can call out people bigger than
Whoever
that.
you want. No, he can call out people bigger than that. You're right. You did that is right. Also, he can go for matchups that he feels that better translate. He knows that Stipe is going to engage him in striking, so it puts him in a benefit where okay, cool, I can strike with this individual, so on and so forth. But what I'm saying to you is this: Stipe is just more dangerous. Stipe is more dangerous because of the fact that he's he he may not be as athletic as John Jones, but he's the most athletic and he hits the hardest. Besides Daniel Cormier and Ngannou, he probably hits the hardest. He's knocked out more of the seasoned heavyweights.
Hey
So
man,
it's not a good fight for him. And all I'm saying is that I'm not just saying that this is happening just because I want it to happen. It's the truth. It's not a good fight for him. Now, John Jones may feel that he can do it. You may feel he can do it, but if you just take out, if you just look at it from the lens of just fighting and analyzing both fighters, it is not the best fight for him. There are better fights for him in the heavyweight division. DC, waiting for DC is a better fight for him. Beating JDS is a better fight for him. Even taking out Curtis Blaze because he doesn't really have any striking acumen would be a better fight for him. You know what I'm saying?
Stipe is the best fight for John Jones at heavyweight outside of Daniel Cormier, and I do not support the John Jones Stipe fight. As a matter of fact, outside of that Brock Lesnar fairy tale fight, I believe that the Stipe fight is the only fight for John Jones at heavyweight because John Jones beats Stipe, Stipe beats John Jones. That just leaves the winner with their rematch of Daniel Cormier, and that's what people really want to see in the first place.
Well,
Whether you want to see the second, whether you want to see Stipe beat John Jones and then um, uh, Daniel Cormier come and avenge John Jones's loss, or you want to see Stipe lose to John Jones and then now there's nowhere to run now because now I'm here at heavyweight and I just beat the uh, the
the
third
better
greatest
beat you.
heavyweight of all time
Okay. Well,
because
listen, man.
the first one is Cain Velasquez and the second one, the first one Cain Velasquez and the second one is obviously Daniel Cormier because
Yeah.
he's got to be better than the greatest.
Anyways, anyways, I don't think it's a good fight. I don't think it's a good fight, and I mean it's gonna happen. So whatever. I mean, if he loses, I mean it doesn't affect his legacy, anyways. It makes it strong. It's a win-win for John Jones, anyways. Um, I think this big fight is more so a piece to satisfy both guys. I think John wants to fight somebody, and I think he wants to cement his legacy. I think stylistically, he probably feels that Stipe is probably the best match for him. You feel it is? I don't think it is. We'll just leave it at that. I think your boy. I think if they do it, though, I think your boy will have a rude awakening. That's my personal opinion. But
Yeah,
they're not
man.
putting him in. They're not putting him against Francis. They're not putting him against Francis, which is interesting because I mean, honestly,
Because those are the worst matchups for him.
yeah, probably so.
Like that's what I keep trying to get through to you. Like
No, I
if we
understand.
keep
Those are the
saying
worst
styles make
matchups.
fights and all that stuff, those are the worst matchups because like what does a fight between Francis Ngannou and John Jones look like?
John Jones running from the entire fight.
There we go. And what does a fight between Stipe and John Jones look like? Doesn't it think to you that they'd be trying to figure each other out?
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, it's like
They
so
would.
that's what I'm saying. Like that is
But I've
look,
never argued. I've never argued that. What I was arguing, I don't. Maybe you just don't. Maybe it's a situation where I have not. Um, I'm not communicating effectively. But what I've always argued was simply this: I just don't feel in the exchange is going to be beneficial for John Jones. It's just not. You don't get the max. You don't get the name because Stipe has never drawn crowds. So most of the people that come are going to be coming for John Jones. That's it. He doesn't draw crowds. That's number one. Number two, I feel he's the most difficult fight in that division for him. He is. If John Jones can beat Stipe, he's beating everyone. That's it.
that's you know what I'm saying, and that's the same triangle
Most
theory you
likely.
asked me not to use.
Most likely, I'll say this: most likely, he's beating everyone. Because if John Jones can beat Stipe, I would say if John Jones has enough power to finish Stipe, John Jones can beat Derek Lewis. That's number two, number three. So that's out the picture. That most likely he can beat. He may. We don't know if that doesn't necessarily translate that he can beat Curtis Blaze because we know Stipe is primarily going to stand first. He's
Yeah.
always going to stand and strike first. He's not going to necessarily push for the takedown. So okay, we'll take Curtis Blaze out that picture, but I think it does kind of mean that if he beats if he beats Stipe, it does kind of mean he might be able to beat Francis, unless Francis throws some crazy shit. it does kind of mean he might be able to beat Francis. It probably means that he could beat Alistair Overeem.
You could, man.
So there you go.